Speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Well, hello, Joseph. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello, Spencer.
How are you?
Thank you, Spencer. Great to be here. I'm good. How are you?
I cannot complain. It's great to be here with you on The Bald Truth. I know that you are you're the host of the main event, and you take the time every Friday to do this little program with me, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
That's very gracious of you to say. I am very glad to be here. It is the home of the original call-in show for men and women with hair loss and hair restoration questions. It's the OG, as is this guy, the OG, that made everything possible for you guys to learn without having the influence of money to sway your decisions. How's that?
You know, I appreciate that, and I don't even feel that uncomfortable with that. But I was watching, and this made me think a lot. You know, we all want. I guess it's human nature to want credit in life for your accomplishments, and really for the world to understand what you've done in your particular field. Mm-hmm. However, I was watching my man Andrew Dice Clay on the Rogan show the other day.
That was amazing, by the way.
He's amazing.
That was amazing.
But I have to say, and Dice, if you're listening, and I'm sure you're not, I have the greatest and the utmost respect for you. You're the king. I felt a little cringy when he felt the need to just continue to let the world know and let Joe know that he was the first, that he was the first to fill stadiums, that he was the first to be canceled, that he was the first, and he gave everybody this opportunity and that opportunity, as opposed to letting Joe do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I caught that, and I can't say that he was the first to fill stadiums. I don't think that's true.
He was the first to fill, from my understanding, to really fill a stadium like the Garden. There were, Eddie Murphy was filling seats, maybe 7,000, 8,000 people, for sure. Richard Pryor, live at the Sunset Strip. It's really just a much smaller audience, but it seemed a lot bigger because there was a movie made out of it.
Yeah.
But Andrew Dice Clay sold out Madison Square Garden. So, listen, all the props in the world. And I'm only saying this because I do every once in a while find myself, like, especially with these young guys, kind of telling them, you know what? You guys don't know shit. This is how it went down because we were the first to bring this, for public consumption. Mm-hmm. I wrote the most read book on the subject of the prevention and treatment of hair loss in the world and all that shit. And that's great. And that's the truth. But sometimes, I think to myself, I don't want to do what, and this guy's great. I felt he really needed the world to know, and he needed to kind of like confirm with Joe Rogan, who is now the king of all media, of what this guy did, that Dice basically paved the way, just like Rodney Dangerfield, for a lot of these young guys. And that's true. Yeah. I just wish that it was Rogan who was kind of leading him in that direction. So I agree. I'm just asking you, if I ever start going down that route, please stop me, Joseph. Just tell me don't do it.
And did you see his hair?
I did.
Like, I couldn't stop looking at it.
Well,
and I kept remembering what it used to be.
Yes.
Big.
Yes.
But when you look back at those old performances, even back then, you could see it wasn't the strongest up front. Like, he never had like this super thick, like you would expect it to last, knowing what you know now, knowing what we know now, that you would expect it to last a lifetime. It progressed exactly the way I would have expected it to.
Yeah.
Had I known then what I know now.
Well, by the time by the time he was, in my view, banned from MTV for life, I was in a position where I was already losing my hair. So I was looking at everybody's hairline, and I saw it right away. I was like, "This guy is a dead man walking."
Yeah.
And he didn't even know it. But here's the good news. I remember I don't know if it was a reality show. I don't know what it was, but I remember he went to see a hair transplant surgeon here in Los Angeles. And it seemed like he was going to have this hair transplant performed. And I have to tell you, I'm so glad he chose not to, because honestly, what is he, 65 years old now? He's been through a lot of shit. I got to tell you, he looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing I came away thinking is like he looks pretty good.
He looks good for everything he's been through. And, heart attack, Bell's palsy. I mean, he's still a good-looking dude, age appropriate. Mm-hmm. And he's got his marbles, he's got his shit together, and he's got this whole new thing going on Instagram. I mean, it's wild.
It's like the Gene Simmons of comedy.
Yes. I admire, listen, and if he gets a clip of this, I want him to know I admire him greatly. And I don't even know if he realized what was going on. But I get it, Dice. I fucking get it. I get it. Like when I'm at these conferences and like new people come up to me and they're kind of like, "Oh, I mean, you came out of nowhere." I'm like, I didn't come out of nowhere. I started this shit. But I can't say that. Because if you say it, then you start, like, you're going to feel sorry for me.
Then you're Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah, but listen, I wish. I'm pointing it out, and I don't even mean, it's not even mean-spirited. It's just like, oh, man, I wish that wasn't the case. I wish he didn't have such a need to prove to the world what he's accomplished, because anyone who's really interested, knows. Yeah. And I admire him greatly. Anyone
that doesn't have their head stuck in an iPad for the past 5 years as they come out on the other end of puberty, they know who he is. And he's one of these guys he's got somewhat of a resurgence coming in his popularity. Not like originally, of course. And it's not like a John Travolta resurgence, but he is returning to the social psyche of awareness more so than he was, like, say, 10 years ago.
So that guy is the best.
His dues are coming. He's
the best. But I was just thinking about that, because I know there are times, and we both do it to some degree, but I know there are times when I want to do it more, and I kind of hold myself back, because it was like, and he was just going on, and I felt like Joe was trying to get out of the he had to go. And this guy just wanted to tell stories, and I get it. You know how many stories I have? You know how much shit I could talk about in this field that would just blow people's minds?
Yes.
But then it's like, oh, Kobren's arrogant, or Kobren's bragging, or Kobren is insecure about, his accomplishments. Well, no one's ever said that, but they'll probably say it now. Or whatever. That's what it...
Now that you created that they'll probably say it now.
But that's what it kind of felt like for me when I'm watching, like, pure greatness sitting behind that mic, feeling the need to prove himself. That's all I'm saying, Joe. It was just on the top of my mind. I don't want to say top of mind anymore, because all of a sudden that's a new thing. And I just wanted to put that out there. So when we talk about the longest running show, it is the longest running show. And it had different iterations. And at one point, for 9 years, it was on the radio with real numbers and, all that stuff. And these kids have no idea of that reality.
Yeah.
When we're speaking to 60 people on the internet right now. So
it's growing.
I feel for Dice. But I don't want to be in that headspace. So I've decided to retire.
Yeah, right.
Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Believe it or not, this is the Hair Loss Show. We're here to answer your questions about anything and everything hair loss. Joe Tillman kind of takes the reins during the week, Monday through Thursday, with the main event. I'm not going to say it, with the main event.
Thank you.
And we're still going to do this little show on Fridays.
I enjoy our little show on Fridays more now than ever because I get to relax. Monday through Thursday, I'm juggling everything, and yeah, it's nice. So I look forward to Friday.
Well, I am going to be getting that new equipment, some of the stuff that you presented to me. I'm trying to kind of figure out how to make it work with a new machine for our software, and things will be a little bit more automated for me and easier to deal with. I'm not going to be doing, it's going to be all digital.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no more with this old archaic, what's the word?
Paperweights?
Analog paperweights.
Yes.
That I'm dealing with. So that's exciting. I just need a little help in configuring it. And at this stage, there's no one local that could help me. So I am working on, I don't want to say schematics, but I guess that's what it is, to be able to utilize the software, a new streaming machine, and this new boards without having to use the 360 or this archaic phone line and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that when I get on the air, I don't pull a Tillman.
Tillman, the early days.
Yeah. Like I'm Trump the early years. All right, guys. Phone number is 888-659-3727. This is the Hair Loss Show. We're here to take your calls. We are ready to answer any questions or concerns you may have about this insane hair loss industry that is now estimated to be about $14 billion. Jump from $4.5 to $14 billion projected for, I think, 2024.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But that just shows you there's so much more bullshit that's being sold. So much more. And I got another story I can get into, but we do have a full board, so I want to take a phone call. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My name's Peter. I'm from Colorado.
Peter from Colorado. What's happening, man?
How's it going, Peter?
Going good, thanks. So I'm 34 years old. Never been married. Don't have no kids.
Good for you.
Going really bald. I'm thinking about, no, not good for me. That's unfortunate in my situation.
Okay.
I'm looking for a wife. I'm looking for kids. And I'm going bald, so I'm thinking about getting a hair transplant. I've been looking up Dr. Zarev in Bulgaria. What do you guys think?
All right. First of all, how long have you been dealing with hair loss? And then we'll talk about the emotional aspects of you thinking that the only way you're going to get a wife and have a child is by having surgery. You're 34. How long have you been dealing with hair loss?
Honestly, I have no idea. I just started wearing a ball cap, and then I didn't even notice until like 3 years ago, or maybe 5 years ago.
Okay. So where would you say you are, or how far do you think your hair loss has progressed? Do you have crown loss, overall thinning, hairline recession?
Thinning all over the top. My hairline isn't receded much at all.
Okay.
So diffuse
Just
thinner.
thinning.
So you have kind of a diffused thinning on the top. Now, what about the sides and the back? Are they holding up well?
Yeah, still got plenty of hair. Maybe a little thinner on the temples, but most of it is on the top.
Okay, so you mean your temporal points? So you're receding in temporal points a little bit.
No, I'm not receding. I'm just thinning. It's just not as thick as it is in the back.
Okay, well, yeah. So, well, here's the thing, and I'm going to let Joe speak to this. First of all, I want to have some more questions, and this is important. Have you considered using any medication to treat your hair loss?
No, I tried oils, though. a lot of oils.
Okay.
Tried that for about a year.
All right.
2 years on and off.
Oils are not going to help you, unfortunately. I'm talking about actual medication. Have you seen a doctor to check?
No.
Check it? Okay. So, going to Bulgaria to have a hair transplant at this stage in your hair loss, without even considering medical therapy, is not only premature but a really bad idea.
Bad idea.
The key to hair loss and to trying to maintain a full head of hair, and also to potentially having a hair transplant, is to do your best to exhaust all of your medical options, treatments, like drug treatments, before you even consider surgery. You have to be in a position where the physician knows that you are on medication to slow the progression of your hair loss, and they want to make sure that it's effective for you. If you go in now and have surgery without being on medication, given the type of hair loss that you have, there is a significant chance that the surgery itself will shock a lot of your native hair out, especially if you're a diffuse thinner. So you go in, you'll pay whatever money you pay, even if you go to Bulgaria, you'll get 5,000 grafts or 10,000 grafts, but your native hair could possibly fall out. And I don't even think Dr. Zarev would, in my view, I'm not sure, I can't speak for him, would treat you at this point unless you're on medication. Joe, I'm going to let you give your thoughts.
Yeah, well, I agree with everything that Spencer was saying, but my question is why haven't you seen a doctor? Why haven't you sought professional advice on your situation before now?
Because I'm a naturopath holistic, and I don't do the whole big pharma thing.
But you'll have surgery. But you have surgery, which is like the least natural thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm leaning towards, but I'm not necessarily sold.
I just want to tell you, I hope you take this in the spirit that it's meant. We're trying to help you. So if I sound a little snarky sometimes, or if I sound like I'm beating you up, please don't take it that way. I just want you to really, I want to get this through to you and to the people who are listening about, this is it's a common phone call. There's a large percentage of people just like you, young guys who, they don't want to put drugs in their body, and I certainly understand that and respect that. They also think that hair transplant surgery is the alternative to taking drugs to treat your hair loss, and it is not. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
My question is if you're a naturopath, and I totally respect that as well, just like Spencer was saying, how do you? And this is a question out of sheer curiosity. How do you reconcile with medications being injected into you for a surgery? Are you that hardcore where you just don't want anything? Because you are injected with medications for surgery, such as anesthesia and other medications to assist in the surgery. Are you fine with that? Are you okay with that? Or did you know that?
Well, I did not know that, but it makes sense. I'm still
painkillers. They're
benzodiazepines,
they use
painkillers
medications for I don't know how he does it specifically, but he might be putting you under, or at least making you drowsy with Valium or something like that. Then there's antibiotics. There's all kinds of medications that you're given during the surgery and are required to take post-surgery for the best recovery possible. So I think. Again, I understand your position, but you need to understand what surgery entails before you even consider that. Forget the fact that it's just a bad idea, which is my opinion, if you're not considering medical therapy, because you sound like someone that would respond really well being what's referred to as a diffused thinner. So it sounds like you haven't really I think you said you haven't really receded much, but you're thinning all over the top. In my experience,
and I'm pretty bald on the crown.
Yeah. Well, you might be a phenomenal responder to medication, taking finasteride, where you could have a pretty significant turnaround without surgery. And if you do wind up having surgery down the road, it would mean less surgery would be necessary, which means less money, which means less recovery, which means more donor hair preserved for the future, like all kinds of benefits to that. So I will say that if you
I don't know much about that finasteride. Oh, good. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you're not open to considering medication, being 34 years old and with the degree of hair loss that you're talking about, I would recommend against surgery. Period, because it's only setting yourself up for disappointment later, because you will continue to lose more hair. There is not a single naturopathic remedy that's been shown to be effective to fight hair loss for the long term. There might be some anecdotal evidence for short-term gains with this or that or whatever, but there's nothing out there that has ever been shown even to remotely maintain any sort of fight against hair loss for the long term. Not even close. So I would highly recommend that you do some actual serious, legitimate research into what your options are. Do not look at surgery right now. As someone in the chat room pointed out, if you want to consider Dr. Zarov, like he's a fantastic surgeon from what I've seen, but he's booked out for 2 to 3 years, so you got a lot of time to think about this. You got a lot of time to research this. You can't just call up and say, I want to be there 3 months from now. He's not got he doesn't have the time. He doesn't have the space. So use this time wisely. Like you need to figure out what's best for you for the short term and long term. And surgery is not.
Well, I'm definitely researching. That's why I'm, asking questions to y'all. But I don't know much about that minoxidil and that other one that you just named. I just barely heard it like 2 days ago. Is that supposed to bring back a whole full head of hair? And how long does that take?
Well, nothing. Well, there's no guarantee with any of it. For one, it's all percentages. There's a certain percentage of people that do respond favorably to where they have a positive regrowth experience or a thickening experience. Some will have a stronger response than others. The majority of people that will take finasteride will stop their hair loss. It may not thicken things, or at least not noticeably, but it'll stabilize the loss so it doesn't get noticeably worse. And that's what you want if you want to do anything surgically, because if you don't stabilize your loss, then you're just setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to have to go back and get more surgery to fill in the spots that thin because the medication is not working. So you need to take the medication first just to see if it works for you.
There's a supply and demand issue. You will never have enough supply of donor to meet the demand, especially if you are not on medication. Just so you know, I've been on finasteride for almost 30 years, and I know Joe's been on it for a long time himself.
20 years.
I was able to avoid surgery, and I have this career because I having to plug dice. I wrote the first book. on Propecia. So yeah. So for me, at a young age, it did regrow hair. I did reverse the miniaturization process. I did regrow a thinning crown, and also the sides of my scalp that were thinning at the time, thinning out, regrew. I have slowly progressed over the last 30 years to the point where I started to wear makeup on the back of my head. I'm not sure if you know about that. And, I've had to wear more hairspray, whatever it is. But, I'm a lot older than you. I could be your dad. So, and I started to lose my hair at 21. So for a large percentage of people who take the medication, it's all about early intervention. It can certainly reverse the miniaturization process. And if you have a diffuse type of hair loss, it's very possible that a lot of the hair that you see is in the miniaturization process. That can reverse if that hair is still growing on your head. And just by those hairs becoming strong anagen hairs, or strong terminal hairs, I should say, you could even get the appearance of, 50% more density just from the hair that you have right now if medication works for you. And you might sit back after a year and say, you know what, maybe I don't need a transplant. Let's see how I can live with this.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do my research on that stuff.
Yeah,
But,
do your research, man. But you keep, listen to the show. Call Joe on, Monday through Thursday. You can call us on Fridays. You can keep asking questions. I'm glad you found us because I don't think Dr. Zarev would have treated you. I'm not sure.
I mean, it's pretty bad. So, I'm wearing a hat for sure now. And I don't know if you guys have, can get picture messages or whatever. I'd be happy to show you. But, yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, but I mean, there's bad and then there's bad. Then there's bad, untreatable, and then there's bad treatable.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, hopefully it's bad treatable.
Well, to me, it sounds like if it's actually bad, it sounds like it's bad treatable with medication and then maybe surgery down the line if that's what you want to do. We're not doctors. We're just providing advice, being in this field for over, almost 30 years. And, this is the way the hair loss process works. And you really can slow or stop the progression if you respond well to medication.
So is medication supposed to bring hair back also, or?
Like I said, it can actually reverse the process that, right now it's thinning and the hair cycles are getting shorter and shorter. It could reverse that process so that your hair cycles, the hair that you have on your head will get longer. The hair shaft diameter will get thicker again, which will create more coverage. And it's possible that you can regrow some hair that actually is vellus hair at this point that you may have lost, or it appears that you've lost even just a few years ago. So you can reverse the process. It does happen. But you have to speak to your doctor. You have to be comfortable with, understand the entire scope and all the possible pitfalls of being on medication. And you have to make that decision for yourself. But surgery is a last resort. All right, brother?
Gotcha. So those two medications that you guys are talking about, are those the best in the field?
Well, I know that the oils didn't work for you, right? I'm sorry, I'm being sarcastic.
No, really.
I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, I mean, here's the reality.
They could have stopped the hair loss, that's for sure. But
no, well, most people in this world, including myself, who start to lose their hair, they will go right to the old wives' tales. Now the internet is just, there's so much crap out there. They will read forums and go on Instagram, and they'll get, people are selling rosemary oil and all this stuff, and people swear by it. And look.
If it works on some people, it did, but it didn't work on me.
Just look around your world and see how many bald guys are out there and women who are losing their hair. Just really take a look. 2/3 of guys by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. If rosemary oil and lights in baseball caps really work for the long term, you wouldn't see as many balding guys. It's not, people don't choose to be bald. It's not bald by choice. So I'm just going to, very few people do. So what I'm saying is 99% of all the crap that's out there that you're reading about, that you've tried, it's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think about the medical industry also, too.
Well, honestly, if you had a bacterial infection,
if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't mean.
If you had a bacterial infection, well, no, I'm gonna disagree with you. In the world of hair loss, it does mean one is better than the other. This is a world of snake oil. People are selling crap to people that does not work, and the history of this field was built, or the industry was built on selling people false hope and snake oil. There are medications 100%. That work on the vast majority of patients who take them. They work to varying degrees. But I can tell you this, the snake oils that you're trying on your scalp have worked for nobody. But I understand your point about the big pharma, for sure. But just like anything else, medication does not work for everybody. But I can tell you this, if you have a bacterial infection, you want those antibiotics to save your ass.
No, like I said, I'll do some more research, but I'm big time against Big Pharma. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Old Testament, but
familiar with the Old Testament?
Yeah,
I am actually, and I would say that you probably shouldn't even have. You should not alter your body in any way. You shouldn't have surgery at all.
So Moses in the Old Testament, the lifted up a snake, whoever saw it was healed. Well, that's the symbol of the medical. Yeah, that's the symbol of the medical world today. So I'll do my research.
Well,
but like I said, I don't trust it much.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're concerned about the Old Testament and the symbol, what is it, the Caduceus? Is that how you pronounce it, Joe?
Yeah, Caduceus.
Then you probably don't want to go to a doctor to actually cut your head open.
Yeah.
All right, brother?
Yep.
All right, good luck. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Y'all take care. Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I respect that. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope he makes the right decision. I don't think he's ready for, well, he's definitely not ready for surgery, but I hope that he finds the answer for him, because it'll be tough. Because he's not going to find the answer in anything that is not medical.
No.
Be it medication, be it surgery, which is performed by medical professionals, we hope.
Gravity boots.
Gravity, yeah. Yeah.
888-659.
He's in a pickle.
3727 is the phone number. God, people are in such trouble, man. It really, I think this is a perfect example of how this industry has been able to do what it's done to so many people. That's all I'm going to say.
Do tell.
The insane naivete. And then people have these certain ideologies, and you combine that with being naive to the reality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's skeptical of the medical industry, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's considering going to Bulgaria to have surgery from a doctor.
That's what was bizarre. And if you're still listening, like, no offense, but it's like if you don't trust pharma, and you liken the snake with Moses to the medical, we'll call it the medical industrial complex. I love that one. Then why would you go to a doctor for, like, why would you go to have surgery? It's inconsistent with that view. So just curious about that. You can call back another time, maybe during the main event, and we can talk about it. Like, I would be very curious to know how that is rectified with his views, how that aligned with his views.
And the most unnatural thing you can do for yourself, caller, is to have surgical intervention, especially this type of cosmetic surgery.
Right. Yeah. Interesting call, though.
No, it was a great
Interesting
call. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hello, gentlemen. Do you hear me correctly?
Well, I hear you well. I don't know if I hear you correctly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My name is David, and I'm calling from Lithuania.
From where?
In
Lithuania?
From Lithuania, yeah.
Welcome.
European country.
Yes,
from
yeah.
Baltic.
I'm familiar.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost 2 a.m. at my place. Maybe my English is a little broken, but I think you
sounds
will
fine to me.
understand me what I mean.
Your English
Okay.
is
It's a good
better than a
compliment.
lot of people's who've been actually born in this country. So go ahead.
Okay. I'm 29 years old, and it's now exactly 6 years that I'm losing my hair. I always was a big forehead kid, yes, and I'm something about Norwood 2.5 and also diffuse thinning. Yeah.
Okay.
I was on generic finasteride for 1 year, 1 milligram every day, and also for the whole 1 year, I was losing my hair progressively. I taken pictures and everything like that, in the good lighting conditions that I could see my scalp and everything similar. Right now, I am on a few months on generic dutasteride, 0.5 milligrams every day. I'm still losing my hair, and I wanted to ask you if brand name dutasteride, Avodart, could be a little bit more effective in its consistency. What I mean, that it would be like more maybe effective in its working.
Let me ask you a question. And that's a good
yes.
question, by the way. Let me ask you your question. And maybe you said this and I didn't hear it. How long have you been on dutasteride?
Only 2 months.
Okay. Now, did you give finasteride a try prior to going on dutasteride? Did you say that?
Yes, for 1 year. I think it's like 1 year and 1 month, something about that.
Now, okay, so one year and 1 month. Did you have any results at all?
No, my hair loss kept progressing.
Okay. And it was generic finasteride.
Yes, because you see, sir, Propecia in Lithuania,
Yeah.
There is no drug like this. And if I want to get Propecia, they can send it to Lithuania, only especially for me, but the price is like 30 times more expensive.
Sure, no,
astronomically more expensive.
I understand, and I'm not saying that you did anything wrong to try to help yourself, and most people do take generic. I'm just trying to get a full picture of your situation. It is possible that a brand name Avodart will be, it is not just possible, but in general, brand names are more consistent than generics. Or I should say
Spencer,
that...
take the camera off me, please.
Sure. I should say that generics can be consistent, but a lot of times they're switched out on patients without them knowing it. So you'll be on one generic for a while, and then the drugstore, the pharmacy will switch you to another one based on whether they've gotten a higher margin. You know, they just found a better deal to get finasteride or dutasteride. So the answer is yes. I believe that brand name is more consistent. With that said, you know, I mean, it's also possible that for various reasons that you're just not a great responder to 5-alpha-reductase inhibitors alone. And you said you've been losing your hair for how many years?
6 years.
6 years. And how far has it progressed?
Norwood 2.5. But you see, sir, my forehead was always big.
Yeah.
So if I have a good barber, great hairstyles, it doesn't seem very likely that they lost many hair.
Sure.
But when I comb my hair in a way, take pictures, take in a certain light, don't use any products, or a hairspray or anything like that, then I can see my hair loss and the thinning like on those temple peaks, and also my temple peaks have gone back. My forehead has gone a bit back, frontal scalp, I mean. I don't have any hair loss on the vertex, my crown, but on the upper part of the head, I see bigger parts, bigger gaps between hairs, and also I lose quite a lot of hair.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things that could be going on. And again, we are not doctors. Joe's currently on the phone. I am not a physician, but I'll give you all the information based on my experience. There are some guys who start using finasteride or dutasteride, and they will continue to see hair falling out, continuous shed. It can last a year, it can last 2 years. And some of that hair is actually being replaced by, after they go through a telogen, it's being replaced by hair that will eventually cycle normally. Now, here's a question that I have for you. In the last 2 years, since you've, or year and 1 month since you started taking treatments, besides just seeing a shed, are you noticing an overall change, or is it basically the same, but you're just seeing hair shedding?
Right now, with dutasteride, I think I see new, more developed hairs, and they're like getting a little bit darker, and maybe 1 or 2 new hairs on my forehead. I mean, in the frontal scalp area that I haven't seen before.
Now, what about the overall density of the back and the sides and your native hair? Is it holding its own?
A bit worse. A bit worse than it was before the treatment.
Okay. So here's the thing. It sounds like if you're actually seeing hairs sprout, especially hairs that were not there before, and if you're noticing that vellus hairs are becoming more coarse, they're becoming, they're increasing in their hair shaft diameter, it's possible that the drug is actually working well for you at this point. And since you've only been on it for 2 months, you've only been on it for 2 months, you probably want to wait. This generic may be the key for you. This may be the drug that is working for you. And I would be in contact with your pharmacy just to find out the name of the generic, and just ensure that you continue to get the same product month after month. Give it at least 6 months. I would not jump from generic to brand name or back and forth. You've already gone from generic finasteride to a generic dutasteride. It's only been 2 months. You really, I know it's stressful, but you really probably want to wait it out.
Yeah, I think you can understand me, how I'm feeling, because you have helped very many people. Yeah. I have a few more subjects that I would like to discuss with you.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't use any topicals, but if I would use or do microneedling, could I see any benefits from it?
That's a good question. Now, there are people who do see benefits from microneedling. Here's the issue, though. You just got on a new medication. You kind of want to let the medication do its thing and not throw the kitchen sink at the problem. You may start to see regrowth while you're doing microneedling, and that regrowth could actually be attributed to the dutasteride. And then you'll be stuck microneedling for the rest of your life because you won't know what's working for you. So for me, my advice would be to anybody, a friend or anybody, would be see how this does on its own for a few months. See if you stop shedding. See if you start to see a slight overall thickening effect. The hair density overall just looks better. It becomes a little easier to style. And then you'll know. And if it doesn't, then you can throw more at it. But
maybe 6 months or a year later, yes?
I would say, I would say you'll know if this drug is benefiting you, I would say within 6 months, in my view, especially given the fact that you've been on a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor for so long, for well over a year.
Okay.
But again, I'm not a doctor. You should speak to your doctor about this. But based on all of our experience and my personal experience, you don't want to rush into anything. I know people get into a panic when they're continuing to shed. You're still in a good position. You're 29. You said you're a Norwood 2.5. I know you have a high forehead, which makes hair loss more difficult, for sure, especially receding hairline. But it sounds like if there's a couple of hairs popping through that you didn't even have before, it sounds like something is happening.
I hope so.
All right, brother?
Can I ask you a bit more?
Go ahead.
You're giving me valuable information. You see, I have prepared a few questions. That's why I'm asking you.
Sure.
I also wanted to ask you about ketoconazole shampoo, 2%. If I don't have any scalp issues, would it be any beneficial for me to maybe disrupt the DHT pathway to the hair follicle and maybe...
It can be, but you could also then throw yourself into a telogen effluvium and even more of a shed. I mean, you just started this medication. Joe, I mean, I want him to have two opinions here. I'm telling him to stick with dutasteride he's only been on for 2 months. Don't add microneedling. If he doesn't have any scalp issues, to me, to get on ketoconazole right now could be a mistake. It could throw him into a shed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've only been on it for 2 months. The dutasteride, you've not given it the opportunity to do what it's going to do, and even if you don't go into a shed from adding another treatment such as ketoconazole shampoo, and you continue to get what might be positive benefits from dutasteride, a year or two from now, you don't know which one's working for you. You're stuck using both of them. So if you ever want to stop using the ketoconazole shampoo, you're screwed because you don't know if you're actually having a positive benefit from it because you didn't give dutasteride the time it needed to do what it's going to do before you added ketoconazole, so where you could see if there was an increased benefit on top of the dutasteride. So it doesn't. It's not just my opinion. It's not logical to do that from that point of view, on top of the fact that you can induce a new shed that no one wants to go through.
Yes,
now,
of course.
With that said,
it's horrible.
With that said, there are Japanese studies that show that 2% ketoconazole shampoo is as effective as 2% topical minoxidil in some cases. So there is an effectiveness with ketoconazole shampoo, even if you don't have a scalp condition. Based on those studies, I don't know the details of the studies, but that was their conclusion twice. So there is something to it. But with any treatment, start one, give it the time it needs to do what it's going to do before you add another one. That way you can better judge what's happening.
Okay, and maybe another subject about the minoxidil. I'm just planning for the future, and as professionals, you are, both of you, maybe you could maybe advise me. In Lithuania, where I live, yes, we don't have oral minoxidil, Lonitan. And what I wanted to ask you, when I live in a European country, maybe what could I do to get oral minoxidil?
Well, you might want to take a trip to maybe Spain, where you can get it. Do some research and travel to a country where it is available. And I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that in the EU there is a system that's inter-country system in the EU where you can get prescriptions. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So find a doctor in Spain or in Italy or a country where you can get it that can prescribe it, and see if you can order it after you get a prescription.
Okay, and of course it would be better for me to maybe order that brand name medication than maybe a generic one. Because the thing with the efficacy, yes?
Here's the thing. Generics work. You just never know if they're going to switch to generics up on you. So you can start taking a generic that, oh, my God, I have no side effects. Things are working really well. And then in 6 months, your pharmacy switches you to another generic. So that is really the only reason, in my view, especially when it comes to this medication, that I am a brand person, period. However, there are great generics out there that have, most people are on generics. There's still a lot of people on brand. And so, Merck, if you're listening, keep making it, please. However, there's a lot of people who are on generics, and they do just fine. But for me, personally, for people that my family members and friends, and I'm just like, listen, if you can get and afford brand name, and if it's still available, then that's the way to go. That's the company that took all the time. That's the company that did all the testing. That's the company that spent all the money to get the formulation, to get the approval for the drug. And they keep
And
their
all the
formula exactly the way
research.
and all the research, yeah.
I would suggest that because I was just looking at the map. People in the chat room were saying that you're closer to Turkey. No, Turkey. No, he's not close to Turkey. I don't know why you think that. I would go to
Turkey is more far.
Yeah, I would consider actually going to Poland, which is next to you. Go onto YouTube and find a channel called Hair Chemist.
Yes.
There's a guy near there that runs that channel. His name's Killian, and he works for a clinic in Poland, and he takes oral minoxidil, and he might be able to help you through this clinic in Poland. I forgot the doctor's name.
And by
Dr.
the way,
Sifu or something like that.
The Hair Chemist is one of like a handful of American Hair Loss Association trusted content creators. He's not a guy that has 200,000 followers. He's a guy that goes out there and provides really, I think, I would say elegant, lucid, just really well thought out, practical, and accurate content that you just can't find out there online. So that's why we accepted him into the program. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea, Joe, and I really feel like an idiot for not thinking about it.
That's okay. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here to help.
You can't think about everything. It's okay.
That's true.
Thank you for that. About the brand name medication, I thought about that with dutasteride, because you see, also those generics in Lithuania, there are a lot of different dutasterides. And when I wanted to buy like 6 boxes for half a year to have my dutasteride supply, I had to go like through 3 different chemists, 3 different pharmacies to get my generic dutasteride. And I heard that Avodar they have, maybe they have to send from all the country to get like 20 boxes or something like that, for 20 months. But I think maybe it would be more in the future proof. I could have it more. I think so. Oh, I'm sorry. I could have it consistent. The brand name medication, then a generic, and experience maybe another Tilagen Fluvium.
Well,
that's why I asked.
I think I think that you are in a pretty good position. It sounds like while it's frustrating and it's frightening that you're taking this medication, both finasteride and now dutasteride, and you haven't like stopped everything. Sometimes that's just not the way it works. You may have been far worse if you didn't even start the process than you realize. So you got to just give it time. I think contacting Killian is really smart. That's a really good idea, Joe. And he might be able to guide you as well. All right, brother?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And maybe one last question.
Oh, my God, you're like Joe from Staten Island now.
Won't annoy you anymore. And guys that's watching the show right now. Okay. I wanted to ask you about sublingual minoxidil.
Okay.
I heard that it is in Australia, I think so, by Dr. Rodney Sinclair. And if I understand correctly, you put it under your tongue, and it dissolves, goes straight to your system, to the hair follicles, so it doesn't have to impact the liver in any way, doesn't have to interact, and maybe it could be more effective, and the concentration of minoxidil in your bloodstream would be way less. I think so. Is it correct?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
That's the idea. I don't know enough about it to really comment. But
I'm sorry. Okay.
No, that's okay. No to apologize. But obviously, if they're discussing it as being a better approach, then that's probably what the benefit would be. Like that would make sense. I don't know how much less systemic activity there would be, because I've just not looked at it. Like it's pretty new as far as that type of delivery, but in general, anything other than topical with minoxidil is better than topical.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if something is if something's actually sublingual, if it works sublingually, where a lot of people will put like a benzodiazepine under their tongue and they think they're getting faster result because it's not going through your GI tract. Some of it does go through your GI tract. But if it's actually a drug that can absorb sublingually, it only means that it's not going through your GI tract, not that it's not going through your liver.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah. So it's still, once it gets in your bloodstream, what do you think filters it out? Your liver.
Yeah.
You know, so
of course.
Yeah, so you're still getting it into your. It's still systemic. It's just bypassing your GI tract if it does work sublingually. And yeah, I mean, to me, that could actually. And again, I don't know what Dr. Sinclair is talking about. I'm not privy to that information. To me, if it's bypassing your GI tract, there's a greater chance of adverse side effects. You're getting more medication directly into your bloodstream. So I could be wrong.
Here's the according to Science Direct, sublingual administration of a drug refers to the placement of a drug under the tongue. The sublingual route bypasses the first pass metabolism and hence facilitates rapid absorption of the drug into the systemic circulation. Drug directly reaches systemic circulation using blood vessels. So it's no different than taking it orally, except for like Spencer said. But yeah,
and well, not only is it still systemic, if you're going to have side effects, you're going to have the full brunt of the side effects because it's not going through your GI tract.
Yeah.
Understood, sir.
All right, brother. It's like injecting heroin rather than smoking it. Not that I would know anything about that.
The drug avoids destruction by gastric juices or complexation with foods. So it's a high, you actually get a higher dosage because it's more direct.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yes. Yes.
All right, brother. Listen, we're going to take another call.
Okay. Thank you for everything.
Good luck.
You are very helpful.
Okay.
Good luck to you too.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
buddy.
Thank you.
Get some rest.
Bye-bye.
888-659 888-659-3727. Jesus. Yeah. I'd love to hear what Sinclair has to say about the sublingual stuff because to me it just means you have faster absorption. Maybe we can take a lower dose. It's bypassing our GI tracts.
That makes more sense. You could take a lower dosage and it would still be just as effective. I'll look into that. That's a good subject for another episode of The Bald Truth.
Make it for the main event. I don't want to get into it. Let's see who this is.
Nah, too late.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Oh, hey there. Hi. First of all, really nice show, guys. I've been watching it for a while. It's been super helpful.
Great.
Second time I'm calling in. I called in like a while back when I just had my hair transplant. So now I'm almost 6 months
What's your name?
in. Sorry?
What's your name and tell us where you're calling from?
Sure. My name is Jake, and I'm calling from the UK.
Hey, Jake from the UK.
Okay, Jake.
So what's up?
So I just wanted to ask you a quick question. So I've heard like very varying responses about this, but it's in regards to smoking after a hair transplant. So usually doctors say obviously it's better to avoid for the first 2 weeks. Some say you should not touch it at all for 3 months. And then you hear people say you should not smoke at all. But I just wanted to say, so to give you my example, so I used to smoke a lot before the procedure. Yeah. Since then, for 3 months, I went completely cold turkey, obviously because I didn't want it to impact with my results. And around 4 months, maybe I started smoking, let's say on average, a couple only on the weekend, when I maybe have a drink. So, and now I'm on 5.5 months, and this is what I've been doing, just maybe smoking 2 to 3 per week, so not a lot, sometimes not even that. But do you think that could impact my results, and it's better to still avoid it this long into the procedure?
I would say if you're just chipping and you're having a couple of weeks compared to smoking it on a daily basis, you took 3 months off. First 3 months of the healing process, you're really worried about the nicotine narrowing the blood vessels and bringing oxygen to the tissues and all that stuff. And you avoided that. And as soon as you stop smoking, that process stops anyway. So,
Jake, I'll tell you this. At 5 months after your surgery, it's wide open. hookers and blow, buddy.
Yeah.
Have fun.
All right. Yeah, my next question was about basically cannabis and if I should be worried about that, but I guess not then.
Yeah. I mean, unless it makes you paranoid about your hair, but otherwise, I don't think it's going to affect your hair loss. But I would say this: if you can maintain your current smoking habits, how old are you?
I am 24.
All right.
Yeah.
I used to smoke at your age. I stopped around your age.
Yeah.
And
to be honest, I don't. I used to smoke every day, like a lot, like maybe half a pack. And since then, I haven't. I just maybe like to have it, maybe occasionally, especially if I have a drink, just with that.
Dude,
but every day, I don't at all, and I don't intend to going back.
I'm 58. If I go out and get loaded, which getting loaded now is rare for me, it'll be a couple times a year. I will bum a couple of cigarettes from somebody,
right?
For sure.
It's impossible not to, especially if you're so used to it.
But for my insurance company, if they're listening, I do not smoke. I mean, I've been away from cigarettes as a regular smoker for 30 some odd years. So
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, but I love it, man. But I couldn't imagine walking around with that smell. Like back in the 80s, everyone stunk. No one knew. You could smoke in school. The teachers were smoking. They didn't know what was going on.
I know. I've seen videos of people smoking in planes, and I get so jealous. Yeah, exactly. I wish I could live through that.
Oh, my God. I used to go to movies, and there was a smoking section. The entire theater was full of smoke. What was the point of the section?
Exactly. Yeah, what good was that, a smoking section? What's that going to do?
I grew up in a house full of smoke. I remember being a little kid, my parents having cocktail parties. I would, go around. I would, take puffs of cigarettes out of the ashtray, and, people would leave their drinks there. I'd take sips. I was 8 years old. I was loaded and smoking cigarettes.
He got started at a young age, people.
Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Yeah. So I would,
in all seriousness, Jake, I would suggest, okay, a few per week is fine. But if you can find a way to back off, you don't want to be in a position where 12 months after your surgery, you're kind of maybe not 100%, and you got that nagging question back in your mind: should I have started smoking again? And I say that because you just don't want to be in that position. And the last thing you want to do is to have regret over something that you could have changed. You had the power to change, but you didn't while you're still in development. What Spencer said is absolutely correct. You're through the woods as far as the recovery and the healing. But you still want those follicles to get as much blood flow as they can, because you got those new blood. And fun fact, what a lot of people don't realize is that when you are placing a new graft or a graft into a new incision in the scalp, the first few days are extremely important because of angiogenesis, or the formation of new blood vessels that are rushing to that follicle to connect. And so you literally have new blood vessels that are formed throughout your scalp wherever these grafts were placed. And so you want to give them the healthiest environment possible, the best chance possible to deliver as much blood to the follicles as they can throughout this first year. After the first year, you got your result and you're happy, smoke up, buddy. Have fun.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so
but I wouldn't be ultra concerned if you're smoking 1 or 2 cigarettes a week. It's
Yeah.
See, he's such an enabler.
I'm just being honest.
See, Spencer's the enabler.
I'm just being.
No, I think Joe knows that you start with 1 or 2 and then it goes to 4, 5, 6 real quick. So
that's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly. Well, they said just a couple. It's just a couple more than they said. So what's a couple more than a couple a week gonna hurt?
It's just,
I know how it
just
works.
Double,
Yeah,
indeed.
I get it.
No, to be honest, I will be conservative, and you know what I'll do? To be honest, because I now that it's not so much the cigarettes, but more the cannabis. So maybe I smoke just that, even that a little bit, with just a little bit of tobacco, maybe on the weekends, and I'll try to cut off the cigarettes because I think cannabis should be better than cigarettes because it doesn't have nicotine, right?
It doesn't.
I guess in theory.
In theory, it doesn't have nicotine. It depends on where you get it. But yeah, I think it's probably, again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a cannabis expert anymore, but yeah, and there's a question in the chat. The bigger question is, you're 24 and you already had a hair transplant. Who'd you have it with, and what was your situation?
Yeah, so basically, I know it sounds like it's pretty young, but I started losing hair when I was 18.
Right.
And so I was already almost a Norwood 6. I was classed as a Norwood 5A officially.
Okay.
And I had been on finasteride for a year as well. And so I felt like my hair loss, I mean, I had a little bit of regrowth, but like very minimal, like almost nothing. But I guess the point of finasteride is not to regrow your hair anyway, but to maintain what you had, which is the reason why I was taking it. And then I had a procedure. So a lot of people, some doctors did recommend to maybe wait a year longer. But to be honest, I mean, in my personal life, I had an important event coming at the end of this year, which kind of why I wanted to get it done anyway. But I thought personally, and I spoke to a couple of doctors here as well, if I'm already with 5A, does it make sense to even wait longer for a procedure? Or it's good that now that I'm on finasteride to get it. So in the end, I decided to go for it. And to be honest, like 5.5 months in now, I didn't get my crown done, just like the hairline and the midsection, and it's already... I'm so happy with the results already. I mean, obviously, I know that it's still going to, hopefully, at least, it gets even better now. But if it were to even stop now, I'm still, like, I can't even say how much better I am than before.
Well, that's a very reasonable, that's a reasonable story and a reasonable, you know, you seem to take the right steps. You were balding since you were 18. The fact that you can live your life and feel more comfortable already after 5 months, that can give you years of feeling comfortable in your own skin. So there are exceptions to the rule. I'm usually not a fan of it based on so many people's bad experiences over the years.
Yeah.
But in your case, you know, there are always extenuating circumstances. So I'm happy for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope it. To be honest, like some people did say wait until you're 30, 35, or maybe when it's a bit more stable. And I completely understand because I've did loads of research, like at least a year I looked into this before actually, like, but even before that probably. But, and I completely understand your point of view and the other side. But for me personally, I would much rather have hair in my 20s than in my 30s. I know that in my 30s, if let's say it goes bad and it starts thinning again, I'll probably say it was a mistake. I guess it's one of those things, right? But honestly, I lost hair when I went to college, and I've always been like this. I don't want to spend my whole 20s being bald and worrying and putting fibers and, you know, just the whole thing. So in the end, this is what I decided to do. So I hope this is the right decision.
Well, you're already happy with it after 5 months. Does that mean you'll at the very least, you'll have several years of feeling good about yourself?
Yeah.
And
did you say where you went?
Right. Sorry? No, I don't think I did. I went to Turkey, a clinic called Long Hair Center in Istanbul, and that's where I went in the end.
Well, I'm glad that you ended up having you're happy with the results so far. How's your donor look?
My donor, to be honest, looks. I don't think an average person can really tell I had anything. I'm super happy with it. I guess maybe just like near the bottom in the nape area, there's a couple of those white FQE scars if you really look closely. But other than that, I would say it's like an average person probably could never tell that I've had a procedure.
Dude.
But
then
guys
good
like
for
us
you.
that know a lot about it probably,
Then don't think about it. Don't listen to the negative shit. You've already passed that point. And
Indeed.
You know, because we talk about a lot of negative stuff, but we try to bring reality to and perception and perspective to this scenario. But you sound like you're in a good position. So good luck, and you know, keep us posted.
Thanks a lot. We'll do, and I'll try to limit the cigarettes for sure.
Yeah, you should. All right, brother.
All right,
Take
buddy.
care.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Take care.
Thanks for
I am bad influence because I do.
I was going to tell him, it's like next time he's tempted to light up, just imagine a little me on his right shoulder saying, "Don't do it," and a little you on his left shoulder saying, "Go ahead, have a couple."
But
Go ahead.
like it was like New Year's Eve or something, and like I'm out and I'm getting loaded. It's like
he'd be like, "Boing!
Yeah,
bye, Joe,"
whatever. But if I'm like, and I have gotten loaded with like, which I shouldn't have, with like people who work in the industry. I did that once. I think I definitely blacked out at the end, but I didn't smoke.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Well, that was the last time it ever happened.
Yeah.
You know, 888-659-3727 said I'm still waiting for the video to pop up somewhere.
We do have a We do have an emergency question in the chat room. I actually meant to
All right,
interrupt
guys,
Jake.
then hold on. Hold on. We'll take your calls in a second. Apparently there's an emergency happening in the chat.
Let's see. Let me find it. Yeah, this is from Benny G. He goes, Joe, urgent question. How long after surgery would you allow yourself a beer? Everyone stop what you're doing. Oh, stop what you're doing. Okay? We have an emergency here. Benny, I would wait 3 days for your first beer, or what your doctor says. Consult your doctor. Good luck. Cheers, mate.
Godspeed.
Godspeed.
Take a call. Let's see what this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Caller, what's up, man? You've been waiting on hold for a while. Speak. You're calling from overseas. I can see that. All right. See ya.
All right.
Hey, you're on the air.
Bye-bye.
Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller, what's up? 256 area code.
Is your phone working?
Yeah, it was. We just hung up on a call. I can hear you, caller.
I can hear him. Take a breath. Just take a deep breath.
I'll give you
say
one
hello.
more second. You're calling from a 256 area code. You're on the air.
I hear him breathing.
He is breathing. Later, bro. 888-659-3727. The phone lines are now open, so feel free to call us. We have about 30 minutes left to the broadcast. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
It's Morty from Brooklyn.
Morty. You got through it. Morty!
Hey,
Hello, Morty.
What's
Hold
happening,
on.
my man?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I can't complain.
Doing
That's
okay.
good.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So something just occurred to me that I wanted to share with Spencer specifically.
All right.
So
Okay,
I'm
I'll
beginning
go
to
away.
think that No. You can listen, but I think Spencer may have a unique perspective and then appreciate this. So I think I'm turning into Dr. Cole's Jew whisperer because all the patients that he has me talking to are Jewish.
That's interesting. Now, I was having a discussion with a buddy of mine, a kid I grew up with, and you said Jew whisperer. Now, as a Jew, we can say Jew whisperer. But
yeah, exactly.
But it's a little offensive when non-Jews, goys, call us Jews. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because the world that we've been trying to live in and that's been trying to kill us for, centuries.
Thousands of years, yeah.
In my mind, all I see are like these, these parades with, like little German kids screaming out, Jew! And it's not a good vibe. I like to be called, you could be called Jewish or a Jewish person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, it sparked, I just had this conversation today. So for all you guys who are speaking about Jewish people out there who are not Jews, because I could say Jews, don't call us Jews. People don't like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's because it's a single syllable and it kind of spits out the mouth. You know what I mean?
Oh,
that's I think a big part of why.
It's a visceral reaction, and like all of a sudden you gotta blow out your menorah, pull down your shades, and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We'll run like hell.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, it's just sort of funny because like I got a couple of guys coming in, like one guy's Shomer Shabbos, and Dr. Cole only comes here on Saturdays, and so it's a whole thing to get a consult arranged, and and he's talking to me, and we're sure, we're a million questions.
Yeah.
Which is good, especially getting involved in this. And for the most part, most of them have been good with respect to, wanting to do the medical therapy first, and, not getting all hung up on trying to get a hair transplant right away, and that part's pretty good. But it's just funny. Like today, I got another call. Hey, this guy Ayal is going to be calling you. Well, yeah, okay.
Well, you know, I mean, I think maybe Cole thinks that you are going to be more relatable to the Jews.
And I am.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, he's not stupid.
No, well, nobody ever accused him of that. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things that occurred to me. Like, I got to tell Spencer about this because I think he might find it humorous, which he did. So
no, I think it's funny. I think I told you the story, and it is getting dark. Hair Pratik says it's getting dark in the room. Another doctor from Atlanta, nobody that's in the IHS, once gave me a call to speak to me. I think I told the story on the air, and he just wanted to say that he finally was able to see me on camera. And these were his exact words. He's like, all these years, he's like, you're a good-looking guy. He goes, all these years, I thought you were just some New York Jew. And I said to him with a Southern accent, and I said, well, actually, you're right. I am a New York Jew. And it was like you could hear a pin drop.
Very much so, yeah.
This guy was so apologetic. But it was kind of like, well, you know what I mean. I don't know what you mean. Not really. What does
that mean? Do you think that I have a hook nose and I rub my hands together or holding a globe? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I mean,
oh, no.
Jesus Christ, man. What a world we live in. You know, Tony Curtis was Jewish. Nice looking guy.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Jesus
Curtis, Kurt Douglas, you know.
Captain Kirk is Jewish.
Absolutely.
That's right. And Mr. Spock.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Spock.
And Chekhov. And Chekhov.
Natalie
Portman. Sulu.
Natalie Portman. Smoke show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Oh, you got Gal Gadot. You want to talk about smoke shows? My goodness. You know.
Anyway,
yeah.
It's a very interesting subject, and I think it's interesting that I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine today who brought it up because he was like in a conversation with somebody who was basically calling people Jews, and she didn't realize that it could be, you get a visceral thing, just the way that it's said. And I was just like, yeah, man, fuck it. Because I'm passable, which is another fucked up thing when people say I'm passable. But anyway, because
you're very well spoken.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine that on the other show. Articulate.
You're very presentable.
Yeah, you're very presentable and clean. I'm clean.
And clean. You're very clean.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, but because I'm passable, I've been in rooms all the time here in Los Angeles, in New York, when I was going to school in Pennsylvania, and it was just like you could never imagine the level of anti-Semitism in this world unless you are a passable Jew.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So you would never, you never had that experience, Morty.
Oh, dude,
you see that?
Look at what I look like. Come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Come on, man, dude. I mean, look, I have a giant nose. I was bald as a freaking egg. I mean, I couldn't look more fucking Jewish. Please.
But you know what? But here's the truth. If you saw me, you would know I was Jewish, Morty. Jews know Jews.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Your Judar goes off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's very interesting that John Cole is basically making you exclusively the consultant to the Jews.
Well, I don't know about that, but...
Oh my God!
I don't know about that. That's pretty intense. No.
Only on the Bald Truth.
Like, like Jewish customers. Oh, give them the Morty.
Actually, that's what it is. You're going to have like a commercial like Maury's Wigs, but it says it's going to be like, considering the hair transplant, come to Morty, consultant of the Jews.
Come to Morty.
Queens Boulevard.
Robert Hellner in the chat room says Tony Curtis, he's Jewish, but he wore a wig. Robert, don't you realize all of them wear a wig?
Yeah, but Tony Curtis didn't start wearing a wig until he was much older in life. I mean, when he was a young man, that guy had some incredible head of hair. Tony Curtis was like a god.
Oh, like Shatner,
Jamie Lee Curtis's father.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony Curtis, Jamie Lee Curtis's father. Yeah. And Jamie Lee was also a member of the tribe.
Yes, she is.
Oh, very much so.
I see her once in a while in the neighborhood.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's actually, it's interesting. She's one of those people who basically just didn't go the typical Hollywood route of, all tons of plastic surgery. She's kind of embraced her look. And she looks great, but she isn't like, she isn't tucked and nipped and pumped and pushed and prodded,
Dude, I saw her not too long ago. I mean, she may be wearing like a metal bra, but the rack is still held up. Everything's fine.
Oh, yeah.
A metal,
oh, no.
a metal bra.
Well, I mean, dude, I know you both of us, everyone in this room knows about the movie Perfect with John Travolta, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
And nobody should get that shit.
I do. Don't think that's not.
I got two.
That's still in the bank, Morty. Trust me.
Two words for you: trading places.
Trading places. That's where it all started.
There you go.
That's when we all realized, holy shit, the chick from Halloween. We had no idea.
No idea.
All right, brother.
That movie ruined me.
We're gonna help somebody with their hair loss.
Okay, well, you go ahead, guys. I appreciate you, love you with all my heart. Be good and save some lives, man, because you saved mine.
All right, brother. We'll try.
Thanks, buddy.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Morty, the consultant to the Jews.
Consultant to the Jews. It was funny. Back in the day, it's like, what movie do you guys want to watch? Trading Places. Yeah, that's a really funny movie. I'm like, Yeah, it's a really funny movie, Jamie Lee Curtis.
That was a little creepy. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Okay, then.
Dude, we got 15 minutes left. We had two calls.
Was that the 256 area code?
We had two. Let's see. It was actually a 360 area code. We had two calls in the line when Morty was talking about being the consultant to the Jews. And so we have some lines open. Feel free to give us a call. It is a call-in show. 888-659-3727. I don't want to sound like an old man, but I got to tell you, life is just so. I really feel bad for this generation. I really do. They're never going to experience the shit that we did. It's over, man.
Every time I hear that or I think that, I think of what the previous generation to us said. That sounded exactly the same.
But it didn't sound exactly the same. We still lived in the same sphere as the previous generation to us.
No. It's every generation has said about the next generation, something like it's crazy that they don't understand, their music sucks or their
absolutely
something isn't.
But I'm not talking. But life itself, no generation ever said that life itself is in a different stratosphere, that people will not be able to, 13-year-old children not be able to go out and ride their bicycles and be away from their parents for more than an hour and a half and live a life and become socialized and live off the screen.
What gets me now is like as we see these things coming along that you can't do or you're supposed to be able to do or whatever. It seems like in the past, these differences that we would kind of cringe at, they come along every once in a while. Now, in 2023, you're getting 10 of them a day.
Right.
It's like a tsunami of things where we're like, it's not so much of, this new generation. It's like, what in the actual F?
Dude.
It's far worse.
You speak to a 15-year-old kid today. They don't even take civics. They know nothing about the world. They can't write a check. They literally do not know how to write a check. They're not taught about anything about the real world and how to survive in this world.
Yeah.
They can't read cursive.
Try writing cursive.
Well, but I have to tell you that
Can't read it. Try
eventually that's going to be like our code. You're going to be able to use that as code online somehow.
I like that.
And
like,
no one
like Navajo speakers.
Yeah, no one could read our shit. We're just writing
or the
cursive
speakers. That's hilarious. Actually.
I actually think I stole that joke, and I'm trying to think where I heard that. I can't remember. So whoever is listening, all 20 some odd people, maybe you can let me know where I got that. I don't think that's original. I don't remember. It could be. I just absorbed so much shit. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys. My name's Robert. I was just talking to Joe last week on the show that he did the oral minoxidil. I mean the pill form of minoxidil.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah. Hey, Robert. What's up, buddy?
Where are you calling from?
So I have another question about the
where are you calling from?
Pill form of. I'm calling from Sacramento, California. I've talked to you guys several times.
Welcome.
And called this show and called Joe's show. And anyways, you guys are doing a great job. I just really appreciate you guys. And I'm really thankful that, you guys have integrity and you're putting out this good information and you're trying to direct people in the right direction, which, this is YouTube. So
yes.
Enough said about YouTube, right?
I appreciate that. And when I do decide to sell out, I'm going to let everyone know in advance.
Yeah.
So they can, so they know where to buy the product.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that would be like the golden ticket for you guys. I mean, all you have to do is sell out once and then that's it. You're done. Just go home and do whatever you want to do. Forget this stuff.
Yeah. Sadly, it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't have it in me at this point. I'm still trying to find it. My dad rolls over in his grave all the time when he realizes the money that I've turned away, but whatever. So go ahead, man.
Yeah. So, anyways, I called in and I spoke to, what was the name of the doctor? He was in Australia, right, Joe? What was his name?
Dr. Bevan Boy-Rule.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had a couple concerns. I'm sure you don't remember what I asked, but my one concern was I have low blood pressure in general. And he said that he was seeing patients that had low blood pressure that tolerated it down up to 7 milligrams, I think is what he said, that they've prescribed that for people. And of course, you go on YouTube and you look at other guys and what they're saying, and some people say that it still could affect your heart rate and your blood pressure and all that stuff. And it's just, that's scarier than depression or, the lack of libido, which I don't want either one of them. I'm on finasteride also, but I'm probably taking about 0.75 milligrams a day because I'm splitting a 5 milligram Propecia tablet up into, 4s and taking it in 1 week. But, you're talking about your heart and you're talking about your general health and, overall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of concerned. Now, it's interesting. I needed to get a prescription refilled for the finasteride just the other day, so I used one of these app services with the doctor online just to get the prescription refilled, and I mentioned to him about the pill form of the minoxidil. What is that? Was it Lonitrin? What is that called again?
Lonitin.
Lonitin, right. So, of course, he said the same thing that a lot of people are saying. Yeah, I saw the article in the Wall Street Times or whatever, the Wall Street Journal or whatever it was, New York Times, and he made a comment, which, I'm not going to take it for nothing because he doesn't do this stuff, I assume. And he said, well, you're on finasteride, that should be enough, which I know he doesn't have a clue when he says something like that. So I guess my question is, where do I go and try and find a doctor that would even, prescribe that for me? Do you guys recommend any doctors in general that are specializing in that in this country, or what?
There's a lot of doctors you can go to, and there's also online resources you can get minoxidil from. But I definitely believe that you need to be monitored by a physician. You say you're in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I know the guys that make Happy Head are here. Sean Benham and his brother are here in Los Angeles. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I can't say, but they might actually be. They might be able to get a prescription through them.
Okay.
And also, but you'd have to have a consultation for sure, at least a virtual consultation. I can't speak for them, but I know that they do prescribe it in their practice. And I want to say something. I was just doing a little research recently for an article that I'm writing for Dermatology Times, and it was about the supposed, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but post-finasteride syndrome, and basically how it came to be. And the fact of the matter is that finasteride was approved in 1992, and it wasn't until 2005 when the first report online was posted about these long-term adverse side effects. And post-finasteride syndrome wasn't even coined yet. And then a few months later, a really well-known message forum popped up in 2006. And apparently, and it could be a coincidence, but it appears to be that it was kind of like a prelude to the message forum's existence. And then it kind of got a lot of mainstream press within a year or two after this guy, Erwig, decided to do a survey of all the people in this forum. So I was reading an article, and this is the name of it, Post-Finasteride Syndrome, an induced delusional disorder with the potential of mass psychogenic illness, ? Study was, the paper was written in 2019 based on some studies, and it's in the National Library of Medicine. And I find it interesting, and I don't know if you've been through any adverse side effects yourself.
Not yet, thankfully.
But my question to you is, it sounds to me that going into taking finasteride, that you were one of the guys, just like many thousands and thousands of guys are, who were hyper concerned about the potential of adverse side effects based on whatever you read online. And I bring this up because, and Joe will attest to this, until 2005, no message forum, nowhere, no physician, and we work with hundreds of physicians who, or at least I do, who prescribe thousands of patients this drug. There wasn't one in any meeting, any conference, anywhere in the Hair Transplant Forum International, one case of long-term adverse side effects after discontinuation of the drug.
Yeah.
Don't you guys find that fascinating?
I know I do.
Caller?
Yeah. No. I get what you're saying, man. Look, there's mass hysteria. It's the psychological effect of anything. It could be the Chicken Little syndrome, where the sky is falling, and all you have to do is have a couple people grab onto it, and then all of a sudden everybody thinks the sky is falling. So, that's why they do the placebo when they do drug trials, because simply they have to have some kind of a control to see if it's just your mental state that's causing, the drug to do something adverse or not adverse. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is very pertinent, but I mean, look, none of us here are talking, and I'm sure no one listening surely wants the side effects of finasteride allegedly has created in some people. I mean, there are YouTube dudes on YouTube saying,
I'm not even saying that it's alleged. I believe that it has. I believe that these people are actually suffering, and I believe there's probably a subset of individuals who, for whatever reason, have this syndrome. But what came first, the chicken and the egg? Were they guys who were very affected by having adverse side effects? And
psychosomatic.
And then the adverse side effects continued even after discontinuation of medication. We do know that there was some information that came out later, a couple of years ago, that Merck may have suppressed some information about long-term adverse side effects, but then it came out that essentially the people that discontinued for the adverse side effects, who did claim that the side effects were persistent, they didn't continue to provide any information to the the people in the trial, so they don't really know. They weren't able to follow these subjects. So who the F knows? My point is, I'm glad you're not having any adverse side effects. But to me, combining medications creates even more of a potential for long-term or even short-term adverse side effects. When it's possible that you're using a higher dose or a normal dose of finasteride or just slowly titrating finasteride could get you where you need to be without getting yourself on oral minoxidil. Am I saying, does this make sense to you? I'm a little all over
that was
the place.
another question. I'm glad that you brought that up because it's honestly, if finasteride is supposed to take and the anti-androgenic effect is supposed to keep your hair from falling out, why do we need to keep taking the freaking Rogaine for the hair that we already had? It's like, I know it's a vasodilator, or so they say, or so they think, or
you don't.
You don't.
You do because if you're already doing it, who knows? You don't want to stop the medication. You can go through a severe shed, and it can cause a lot of problems. And some of that hair is being kept in a longer anagen phase because of the minoxidil, and then by lowering working through the hormonal base, it's also helping to keep that hair that's being energized, so to speak, by minoxidil. But I always, and Joe agrees with me, but for years it was always using both drugs synergistically, and I never agreed with that. I always thought it was a bad idea to start young guys or anybody on both prescriptions at once.
Mm-hmm.
I always believed, and I'm not a doctor, to start with what we think is the real cause, which is mostly DHT. We now know that androgenetic alopecia is no longer considered, at least by real experts, as a non-inflammatory alopecia because there's so many inflammatory aspects to it. At least 80% of guys, if you had a scalp biopsy, there would be significant inflammation of the scalp, perifollicular inflammation in the tissue. So we also know that there's a significant inflammatory effect. So now doctors who are in the know are considering treating patients and helping them lower their inflammation while they're treating them with finasteride. But with that said, I never understood the whole synergistic thing. It never made sense to me. I always felt that people were being put on. I always think minoxidil topically has always been a Band-Aid. And I always felt that people were kind of stuck using it. And I was too. I had to wean myself off it. It took me about 2 years. And I did it on the air. I would talk about it on the radio show. Because I felt that finasteride was enough. And I just didn't want to continue to use this topical. So I know it's a long way to get to your question. Why do they say that you need to continue to use minoxidil? Because that's just kind of the status quo. That's what they've been taught. And it's just being regurgitated. And that's how most doctors treat their patients.
Okay. So I would agree with everything you said. I would like to input this fact about the Lonitin. Is that how you say it, Lonitin?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, about the Lonitin. Okay, so like Joe has said in more than one of his shows, excuse me, I have this alarm to turn off, on more than one of his shows that he saw the guy that came all the way from Europe and traveled to you and went from Norwood 5 to...
No. Further than that, Tasmania. Okay, at the bottom of the planet.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, that's right.
A little further than Europe.
I forgot. Yeah, okay. So the guy came all the way from freaking Australia, Tasmania, to show you his head. And I mean, like, that's miraculous. That's something miraculous. Yeah. So what kind of a dosage was that guy? Was he taking the full, 15 milligram dose like a normal heart patient was taking, or what? He was taking 10.
Well, the typical blood pressure is 10 is on the very low end of a standard blood pressure medication dosage. But yeah, 10 milligrams is what he was prescribed because that's what was available at the time, and he was not told to cut it or anything like that. And it was part of a double approach where it was the Lonitin combined with some witch's brew that some chain clinic in Australia was offering. I think it was called Advanced Hair, something or another in Australia.
I thought they were. Yeah. I thought those guys were wig makers, wig sellers.
They are in the States, but
I thought they were actually out in Australia. But what Joe didn't tell you, what Joe didn't tell you, was you should have seen this guy's bush. I mean, at least that's what Joe told me behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
Awkward?
Well,
what?
Not awkward for me. I don't know. I wasn't there. You told me the story.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I needed a cigarette after that one.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I'll tell you what. My only regret is I didn't document it. I didn't take pictures of. I didn't say get into the photo room so I can document this. Or maybe I did, and he said that he doesn't want to. I don't remember, but. If he did say that, I wish I'd pushed for it because it really was one of the greatest turnarounds I've ever seen. Like, just unbelievable. A full-blown Norwood turned around, looked like he barely had any loss at all.
So you dangle that carrot in front of anybody that's a Norwood 5, and you tell him that there's even a freaking chance that if he takes 10 milligrams of Lonatan that he's going to grow all his hair back. I mean, you're going to have people jumping all over that stuff, even if they got bad heart.
The entire country be walking around all bloated, these big faces and full heads of hair.
Yeah.
I get it. Listen, I get it, dude. How old are you again?
I'm 60. I'm 62.
You're 62. You sound very young.
Yeah, believe me, I look like I'm 40, but I'm genetically blessed. I'm Italian, and my people lived a long time, and I have really good genetics, and I work out, and blah, blah, blah. So,
Good for you,
I'm
man.
very lucky.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Yeah. So, in any event,
how's your hair?
Either if you got my hair, I'm probably. It's hard for me to say. I should probably have Joe do one of those things on air if I gave him permission to use my pictures, and he could tell me. I contacted Dr.
If you were Jewish, Morty could do it.
Yeah, Morty's a great guy for you guys to have because he really gives you some content. I'll tell you that.
He does.
I had contacted Dr. Alba Reyes last year because I had heard her talked about on you guys' show, and that's what I called about last summer, and I still intend to go there. So I got on the finasteride and the Rogaine topical because of that, and I've seen probably, I don't know, maybe it's hard to say, but I've probably seen a 30% thickening of my hair. I would say the front of my hairline has gone back to like, it's the same kind of shape as Dracula's Preaky. It's a very widow's peak kind of a front. It's probably back to a Norwood 3, and then I have diffuse thinning all the way through, and the crown is the worst part. It's not bald, but it's certainly diffused. So
now, do you color your hair, or is it natural?
Yeah, I color it, but like I'm not super on top of it. I just went 5 months in between coloring my hair. So
all right, so it's not like, but when you do color, is it like you're a magician type of coloring, or is it like, does it look good?
No, it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty natural. I use a light medium brown, they call it. It's a medium brown, so I don't have, I don't look like Dracula, except for the hairline.
No, but if you let your hair go gray or white, it's going to look thicker.
Yes, I know you're right, because I just went, like I said, 6 months without dyeing my hair, and then it was grayer and it's like salt and peppery, and some spots is worse, and it did look thicker because you're not seeing the scalp as much.
Right.
I realize that.
It definitely. And listen, I for whatever reason on camera with these lights, but mostly just on even if I use my iPhone, my hair looks darker. It's a weird phenomenon, but in person, it's a lot more salt and pepper. It's maybe 60% white. And I have to tell you that is, I think, the main reason why I can pull off the comb over in person, where the paint blends perfectly. There's a lot less contrast between the scalp and the hair. So to me, being able to save your hair to get to our age and have enough hair, let it go gray and white and salt and pepper, you're winning. I mean, in the world of aesthetics, you're winning. Unless you think you look really bad with gray hair.
Well, who knows what the person that deceives yourself the most is yourself. Who can really see what they look like in the mirror when everybody else sees them as? I can't. It's like a personal preference thing, I would think. But I'm glad you brought up the hair transplant thing because I wanted to ask you another question in regard to the hair transplants. I told you I was in contact with Dr. Alvarez, and they had told me that they have two options. They can go in and they can do the FUT or the FEW. And I've heard you guys mention on more than one occasion that if you have a virgin scalp, that the best way is to go with FUT the first time. Is that correct, guys?
Well, it depends.
More grafts?
I'm going to let Joe, the hair transplant mentor, answer that directly. But my whole thing is, and I've been talking about this forever, not to sound like Andrew Dice Clay, but it never made sense to me if you're a young patient to go in and take grafts from all over the back and sides of the scalp, which will eventually diminish and miniaturize, when you can get a lot of grafts from a couple of strips that will last you many, many years. But you're 62. You can drop dead tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, who knows, man? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think in general, one good solid strip helps us set the baseline for moving forward. If you want to do more surgeries with FUE, because and I was actually thinking about this more today, because I know there are even doctors I work with that disagree on this point vehemently. Like they're like no, and their logic doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. But I look at it like this. If you know that you're going to be having multiple surgeries over the long term, if you have a history of hair loss in your family that's aggressive, and you want to make sure that you've set yourself up for the best possible scenario for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, then a good strip, one good strip to get, 3,000, 3,500 grafts is the most logical way to ensure your follicular future. But
that was good. I really liked that follicular future.
If you are to the age where you could drop dead tomorrow, like 62, for instance.
Yeah, right.
I don't know where I got that number. Then depending on your hair loss, going FUE is fine. If you don't have, if you're not an Norwood 6, if you feel like you have stabilized your loss through the use of medications, and you have a strong donor, sure. Starting off with an FUE with room for a second or a third FUE down the road, that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine if you're 32. It just depends on your situation, and it also depends on your priorities for the donor area, which is the only reason that FUE exists to begin with, to avoid the linear scar. That's it. There's no other reason.
And that was well said. And I will say that if you are comfortable now, if you have a good donor region, a good donor region, good sides, you have to understand that if you need a decent amount of grafts moved to get you to where you want to go, you're going to feel the difference. They'll say they don't feel a difference in their donor after FUE. You will feel. It is palpable to people as far as the density, the overall density, and the way the hair is combed and the way it feels on your head. Now, that could be a good thing, especially if you're younger and you want to create a more, is it homogeneous, Joe? A more overall, balance to the hair.
I say homogeneous, but yeah.
Yeah, but if you're a guy that has really thick donor, and I don't know if that's the case, but you will feel an FUE. So to me, if you're 62 years old, and again, I'm not a doctor, talk to your doctor about this, but if you're 62 years old, you don't plan on shaving your head or cutting it super short?
No, I have long hair. It's down to past my shoulders. It's very long. Okay. I have a ponytail.
All right. Well then dude, so basically you're like a woman with thick, long hair with decent donor area. Strip is the way to go for you, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor.
And I keep saying
that. And if you get a strip and get fucked up, don't blame me. It's just my advice.
I don't know where you live, so
But
it doesn't matter.
I want to address something that's said in the chat room by Andrew Vernon. He goes, "Yeah, Joe, but there's the numbness from strip surgery. Look what happened to me in South Korea," and I completely agree with what he said, where there is always the chance of some sort of side effect from strip that you most likely would not get from FUE, which is permanent numbness in the donor area. It's very rare that I hear about this with FUE. You have to be really terrible at FUE to do this to a patient with FUE. But it is assuming that you pick a world-class clinic across the board for whatever procedure you have. That's the caveat with anything and everything I say where I'm talking about what's the best route to take in this case or that case or blah blah blah. But even in the best of hands, there are cases where numbness or even chronic pain post-surgery from the recovery that doesn't completely go away. That's also possible. But it's also possible with FUE. Why? Because this is surgery. It doesn't matter which procedure you have. Well, there's always a potential for a negative outcome that will affect you negatively for years.
You will 100% have numbness after your strip. They're cutting...
Forever?
No. You're cutting nerve endings, and your body has to, and this is where I disagree with Joe, your physiology could dictate whether or not those nerve endings and those nerves find themselves to actually reestablish that feeling. In most cases, they will. Now, I agree with Joe that someone could really F you up, and then there's no chance for your body to recover, but it could also be just a physiological response because you're old. No, I'm just kidding. Just a physiological response that anybody could have. Yeah.
Because you could drop dead tomorrow.
Yeah. So
I could drop dead. Yeah.
So if you
and the camels in the desert.
So there are probably people in your world who have had facelifts, women in your life, or even if you're dating younger women. The women get like 40 now, 45.
Yeah.
And they will tell you that some of these women, their faces are numb for 2 years.
Wow, 2 years.
You know?
Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't hear that one before, but I believe you.
Yeah. It happens.
So
Joe had that happen to him.
For real, Joe?
What?
And he had to get tissue removed before his body recouped naturally. Right, Joe? Isn't that
I don't think I ever heard you say that before, Joe. I don't think I heard that one talk from your mouth yet.
Well,
but
okay.
That's interesting.
Well, I'll reiterate. So my first two surgeries, my first two strip surgeries, were taken from two separate areas in the occipital region of my scalp. So I wound up with two scars, not one above the other, and they were both fairly thick. So the problem with that is the nerve endings didn't get a chance to reconnect because there's too much scar tissue in between them. So the entire back of my scalp was numb for 9 years. But then after the first surgery with Dr. Wong, he consolidated both scars into one scar, which meant that there was far less scar tissue for the nerve endings to find each other. And it was like long lost lovers reconnecting. It was a beautiful thing. They reconnected. My scalp felt normal again, whatever that means, because I'd forgotten what normal felt like. But I have full feeling to this day after 7 more strips, 8, yes, 7 or 6 more, whatever, however many more strips. I have, for all intents and purposes, full feeling in the back of my scalp because surgery was done correctly. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
What?
Did you pass out?
And Morty,
No.
even though you're
No.
Italian, dude, Morty is trying to give you some advice. Morty, you can't. You're the consultant to the Jews, Morty. But Morty's trying to give you some advice in the chat room, and he says to go for a strip as well. Now, Morty is a relatively new expert, but I have to tell you, he's done, not only is he working with Dr. Cole now, this guy's done his research.
Well, he's trained by the best.
And he's trained by the best.
These
Us.
guys.
Yeah. Do you guys still like Dr. Alba Reyes?
I love her.
Okay. All right. That's what you said before. I just wanted to make sure that your opinion was still the same. So, One last thing, and I'll let you get to the next person. If she had said, or her consultant had said, I forget her consultant's name, but she was very nice. She had told me that if they did the strip on me, that they could get like 3,000, 3,500, like you said, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I know it depends on how many squares per inch you have and your type of hair and all that stuff. I know that there's different classifications of curly hair, but I have curly hair, and it's not ringlets, but it's definitely pretty curly.
And
I know
he's got
that
curly
takes up
hair.
more volume.
That makes it even.
Yeah, I got curly hair.
That takes FUE off the table even more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's good news. So with that 3,500, I'm like he so boldly put, I could die any minute because I'm 62.
Yes.
Basically, I don't want to take forever to get this done. Now, I know that you guys say 2 surgeries, blah, 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 but I don't have to have a hairline that is John Travolta's with his toupee on that he's got on now.
But you may not
pretty
need.
funny.
You are 62 years old. You have curly hair.
You could drop dead tomorrow.
Besides dropping dead tomorrow, you have curly hair.
Sorry.
If you actually chose not to dye your hair, you'd be even better position, where you probably won't need more than. There's a good chance, a better chance for someone of your advanced years. Sorry.
How old are you guys?
Yeah.
Do you ever say your ages? I don't remember.
I'm 50. I'm 58 years old.
You're 58.
Yeah.
How old's Joe? Will you tell us?
Joe's like 62 now, right, Joe? How old are you?
I'm 53.
He's 53.
Oh, God.
Okay.
So, but
well,
yeah,
I'd trade places with you guys. I'll go take 5 or 10 years off if I could.
But
your advanced years.
but you're actually in a you're in a better position than a lot of guys. You know, so you have if you decide not to dye your hair, you definitely have less contrast between your scalp and your hair. You have curly hair,
Robert,
and you have a lot of it still, and you wear it long. So you can probably get. I mean, you could probably get a good decade or more if everything works out with a really full-looking head of hair.
And you keep
that
your
would
health.
be awesome.
As long as you keep your health and keep off the TRT.
Without. Yeah, I'm not going on the TRT, so no. But honestly, I don't need to advance my hairline to be. Like I said, it's probably receded from when I was a kid about, I don't know, 3 inches back, you know, where the point is. And so if I could get it to go, I could get my hairline another inch forward and then fill up all the other diffuse stuff. Is that possible with 3,500 grafts, or is that too much?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at you and play doctor. And I mean, Joe used to do consults, and I refused to do that stuff. Joe was working for a physician.
But by the way, Robert, what you can do, I meant to announce this on yesterday's show or sometime earlier this week when I wasn't heaving towards the heavens, but I plan on offering live stream consultations where I was offering video consultations where people send in photos and I'd make a video about it, but that's too much work. So if you want to send me your photos and then send me your phone number, then we can do a consultation live on the main event. I'll call you up on the show and we can go back and forth like we are now. And
okay,
I'll give you my opinion.
But it won't be as fun as if you did it with us together. But whatever.
True. True.
Okay. All right. So what do I do? Go
I'll
on
have
your
recordings
website
of
to get
Spencer. I'll have recordings of Spencer saying you could drop dead tomorrow, and I'll interject that a few times into the show.
Yeah, that should be one of the keywords on your program.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, don't worry, you guys aren't that far behind me. So
here's the reality: we're only 4 years apart, man. That's I
know.
That's nothing. I'm right there,
bro. You're feeling me, man. You're feeling me.
I am.
That's for sure.
Yeah. All right, brother. Listen, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to hear from you again. Yeah, take Joe up on his offer for the consultation.
Just go on your website, Joe, and get the information and send it to you, or is there some other way to do it?
Just go to my Insta. That's the easiest way.
Your Instagram?
Yeah, at Joe Tillman Official.
Your Instagram? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do. All right, thanks, guys.
All right, brother.
Appreciate all your input.
Take care.
Take care.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Take care.
I mean, this is a guy of an advanced stage in life, and you're saying Insta.
But he knew what I was talking about.
No, he had to say, "You mean Instagram?"
But he still knew what I was talking about. He figured it out. It wasn't like old man Smothers.
Come on,
And those kids, and that, it's a stinking kids. It wasn't anything like that. So
here's the reality
from Scooby Doo.
Here's the reality. And you got to let me know this. I do not want to end up like Bob Hope. I don't want to be doing this show until the world is saying he should have retired a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
He missed the opportunity to go out with, while he was at the top. I won't let that happen to you. I won't let that happen
And
to
Johnny
you.
Carson, let him rest in peace, I think he waited a little bit too long as well. I'm just saying.
Don't get me going on Jay Leno.
Well, Jay Leno, honestly, for what he did and how he did it and the way that the world was evolving at the time, he was a master in his day. Master.
I'm talking at the end when he left and came back and the Conan thing and...
You know what? Whatever.
I remember that.
That's their problem. Nothing to do with us. That is their politics and their bullshit, their own personal bullshit that everyone deals with.
You can say that about anyone.
Yeah.
I just want to acknowledge Rob Hellner in the chat room. He coined a new phrase.
What's that?
Wearing a Shatner.
I actually just saw
like
Shatner on Bill Maher's podcast.
Yes.
What is it?
After,
what's the name of his podcast? How come I can't remember? He gets super stoned in his basement.
Yeah.
Right over here, pretty close to here. Something with an R. Please find out for me. Why can't I remember this? Why have I lost my memory?
Podcast, YouTube. What is it? It's Club Random.
Club Random.
Yes.
Gotta tell
Not
you
crazy
this
about the name, but it works.
Yeah, I gotta tell you this. Well, I enjoy it. I've just recently started to watch it. I have to say, when Bill Maher gets too high,
he gets too high.
I can see. I guess how his guests are trying to manage that. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a little bit of squirming.
There's a little bit of squirming, a little bit of a little bit of courtesy laughter.
Yeah.
And a little bit of like.
Meanwhile, he's pissing his pants laughing at his own joke. And just kind of like.
Yeah. and a little bit like.
Good one, Bill.
A little bit like, all right, Bill, take it down a notch. Relax. We're friends here. We're all friends here. Take a chill pill.
I think Dr. Phil did that the other day.
Did he?
Yeah, Dr. Phil. Yes. Yeah.
He was on
Bill
Club
got
Random?
because he got upset with him for some of his
political views.
His lack of condemnation on some political things.
I have to say that, and I like Bill Maher. I really do. I think there's a lot of entertainment over the years, and I think that he's a super smart guy. He's a erudite, I guess, or at least that's what he presents himself as. But I gotta tell you, there's some deep-seated shit going on there. Some deep-seated shit.
The roots run deep on that one.
And
sure.
One day, if he allows me to, I will get stoned with him. And it will be ugly. I'm just kidding. It will be fun.
Yeah.
But he becomes like, he makes his guests uncomfortable.
He becomes that guy that you go over to, he becomes that buddy you go to visit that has a bit of an issue with enjoying the manja a little too much.
Yeah.
And then you get over there and you're like, fuck, why did I come over here? It's just like,
and you know, when
so much I could be doing right now.
And we all have opinions, but there's ways to express your opinions and also, just validate the fact that other people have certain opinions. I'm not even talking about politics, just whatever they're having a discussion with. And I'm watching this, and I'm stoned myself, and I'm watching this a couple of episodes, and I'm like, it's unbelievable. These guys are very patient because I don't know if I would be that patient. Yet, I love the show. So there you go. He's doing something right. Right, Joseph?
Yes, he's doing something right.
So, Bill, if you happen to be one of the 60 people watching the show right now, I love you, man.
Let's do this.
You got to relax because you're making your guests a little uncomfortable. I saw poor Dana Carvey. They've known each other for 35 years. The level of courtesy laughter from Dana, I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to go. Going on a rant. I only go on the air once a week. I know that you do this 5 days a week, so I have to vent a little bit and get my shit out there and talk.
I get it.
All right, people. I want to thank Hair Loss Cured 2020 for promoting this program. He just put up, because we just gave it to him, his Trusted Content Creator seal.
I saw that
on his website, even though it's a little low on the footer. Whatever.
I saw that too. Yeah, it could be higher up there.
Yeah, well,
be proud of it, man.
Look,
I'm just saying.
Whatever, whatever. No, listen. This guy's been creating great content for you guys, for people who want to know about the future. I have a thing on my hand, a future of flosser I'm playing with, and no one's telling me not to play with the flosser. He's been providing information on the future of hair loss and the future hair loss treatments for years. Since well before
like 2014, I think.
Yeah.
I think since 2014, 2015.
And I am proud to call him a trusted content creator for the American Hair Loss Association. Or I'm proud that he's providing this content for people and that we could kind of give it the thumbs up. He's a great guy. He's done a lot of good, and he has a very interesting site. And that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, Joseph. Until next time. I have a big dinner tonight, by the way.
And don't forget, down below in the description of this broadcast, there are the other supporting websites that support what we do, and we support what they do. So check them all out. Go down in the description and look at all the links. Click them. Go visit these websites for always interesting hair loss and hair restoration information. Had to put that out there.
Very good. Until next time. Be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid.